Hey, Holy City, Angela here, just giving you a word of encouragement for the day. My daughter Meredith and I are getting ready to go on a trip to Israel, and we're very excited about it. It's Meredith's first and my second, and we happen to be going with my parents. On my first trip to Israel, there was a gentleman who is a friend of my parents there who made us all necklaces, and I'd like to share that with you today. The necklace on it has 5 loaves and 2 fish, and it reminds me of a story in the Bible when Jesus did a very beautiful miracle. You see, there was a bunch of people that had gathered around him one day to listen to all the wonderful stories that he had to tell about God's kingdom. And he shared it in such a beautiful way that time went by so fast that they didn't even stop to eat. Well, as evening came, they were getting very hungry. And the disciples there wanted to know, what are we going to feed these people? Let's send them home so they can get something to eat. And Jesus looked at them and he said, you feed them. Now let's go figure that one out. They had been there all day too. They didn't have anything. And so Jesus said, well, bring me what you can find. And so amongst the crowd was a small boy who happened to bring a lunch. And he brought with him 5 loaves of bread and 2 pieces of fish. Now that was not going to feed 5,000 people who happened to be gathered there that day. That doesn't even include the women and children. That's just the count of men. So the disciples brought the basket up to Jesus. And Jesus looked at it, and he wasn't surprised, and he wasn't startled. And he didn't say, well, is that all you have? All he did was he blessed it, and then he broke it, and he put it in the disciples' hands. And he said, now go feed the people. And in the disciples' hands, that bread and that fish began to multiply. And it was more than enough to feed everybody. As a matter of fact, the story says that there were 12 baskets that were left over. Go figure, 12 baskets of leftovers. What would you do with something like that in your household? Well, you know, sometimes when we look at the things that we have, the enemy wants us to startle and be stressed and be worried and be anxious, thinking that it's not enough. But I encourage you today, don't look at what you don't have. Look at what you have and take it and put it in God's hands. Say, God, this is what I have to offer. This is what I got. And in his hands, he will bless it. But he doesn't need it. He doesn't want it. He knows you need it. And so he's going to give it right back to you. And then he's going to tell you, take it, make it work. And in your hands, it will be multiplied. And it will be more than enough. Can you imagine having more than enough? Well, you can do more than imagine it. You can live it. So I encourage you today, don't be stressed, but be blessed. And remember, it's a good time to be you.